Hello, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner from Region Weather Live, your YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. And in this video, we're going to talk about the timing with this storm system that's coming through the region and just kind of get a little better feel for what's going on there. We're going to talk about some of the hazards that's going to be involved with this storm as it develops Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we're also going to take a first look as to how much accumulation is expected with this storm just to get a good rough first idea. So let's take a look. Okay, for Tuesday, still not much going on. We're still working on pulling up all that moisture in from the Gulf and just really waiting for that storm system to exit out of the Rockies still on Tuesday. The only thing that really is going to happen is across the eastern Dakotas and into parts of Minnesota. Probably going to see an increase of rain showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder later in the afternoon, particularly across Minnesota. And that kind of continues to increase across Minnesota as we get into the evening and the overnight hours, and a few more rumbles of thunder continue kind of in between the Duluth and Minneapolis area and begin to cross into Wisconsin. As we get more into Wednesday, and particularly late Wednesday morning, more into the afternoon, as we continue to pull up some of this moisture in through here, we've got the potential, at least in some of these areas, for seeing some drizzle and some freezing drizzle in here. Just depends on what the temperature is at this point in time. As we get into the noon hour, early parts of the afternoon on Wednesday, you can see where that freezing line sets up in through here. So when we're taking a look at some of that rain that's going to be possible, or that drizzle rather, we're kind of talking about right in through here. So obviously kind of these areas from Bismarck, Linton, up through Devil's Lake, Larimore, north of Grand Forks, kind of up into Pembina possibly. These areas maybe could see some freezing drizzle as we get into the day on Wednesday. Now, it is possible that some of these areas in through here could even see some patchy freezing drizzle as well. Not as good of a chance, but there is a small possibility in these areas as well that they might see some freezing drizzle. And now we get more into the overnight hours, Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. This storm system really begins to ramp up at that point. We can see early at Thursday morning, we're looking at kind of the rain chances basically in through here. And then some freezing rain somewhere within this corridor in through here as we start the day Thursday morning. And then obviously for the remainder of you further back, we begin to pick up that snow. And some of that begins to get heavy across northwestern parts of South Dakota by Thursday morning already. And as we get later in the morning and kind of right around that noon time frame, we could see that center of the low right about there, right around Redwood Falls, and that cold front down just south of there, obviously. The warm front basically, extending eastward out from there. And so these are the areas kind of where we're going to be watching the potential for at least some severe weather through the day on Thursday, and just kind of watching to see if a line develops and move eastward. Now, I think the better chances still remain a little bit further south, probably more in the far southern areas of Minnesota and more into Iowa, but wouldn't be surprised either, just depending on how this all works out, to see some as far north as that St. Cloud area, up getting close to that I-94 corridor as it moves eastward. Now, with these storms that could be severe, the main thing is going to be hail, probably some strong damaging winds, but we can't rule out the possibility of an isolated tornado or two. I think the threat is pretty low. I think the main thing is going to be the winds and the hail, but the threat is out there, and it's just something that we'll have to keep an eye on. Now, obviously, as all this moisture continues to surge northward and it runs into this cold air further to the north, at some point we're going to be looking at this transition zone happening. And it's just a matter of where, depending on where this low sets up exactly and how it moves out, will very much determine where exactly that transition line is. Now, going to be critical because you're going to be talking about the switch over to snow. Some areas are going to be seeing some freezing rain, and some areas are going to get more freezing rain than others, which obviously you get that, and then you get some snow and you get some wind on top of it. Not a good combination for power lines, tree branches, all that kind of fun stuff. It sits right now about noon on Thursday. Right here is where about that transition line is going to be. And then you've got that heavier snow band right in through here at this point as well, along with the strong northerly winds that are going to be causing all kinds of blowing and drifting and likely blizzard conditions throughout that region as we start the day and get into the noon time on Thursday. Now, as we get to closer to 6 p.m. Thursday evening, here's that band of heavier snow in through mainly central and eastern parts of North Dakota, northwestern parts of Minnesota. And then that transition line at this point is expected to be somewhere right in through here. Again, folks, this is preliminary. This is very out there. This is very, very, very early. So this could all shift quite a bit, but I just know people like to take a look at this just to kind of have a feel for how to plan for some of this. But so just know that as we look at this, I'm using my favorite word right now, preliminary. Everybody say that word with me. Preliminary. That's what we're looking at right now because it's still out there. That storm isn't even on the West Coast yet, and so we've got some time to take a look at this. But again, here we are. We're looking at this, and Thursday evening around 6 p.m., this is about what we're expecting at this point as far as precipitation types and where some of that heavier snow band's going to set up. Now, midnight Thursday night into early Friday morning, more of that cold air works in, so we've got more snow than freezing rain, and we've got probably the heavier snow still remaining in eastern North Dakota, northwestern parts of Minnesota. A little bit of leftover transition, a little bit of freezing rain and drizzle still up in the northeastern parts of Minnesota possible. You notice the rain now has moved off to the east and mainly into Wisconsin as we get into the overnight hours. And by Friday morning, right around 6 a.m., you can expect all these guys in through here to be probably picking up some snow at this point. And so moving this along and moving it to the noon time frame, you can see the snow begins to diminish from west to east. And then once we get closer to 6 p.m. Friday evening, most of the snow is gone, except for maybe some of these areas in through here. We got a little bit of light snow. So I'm going to highlight a couple of things based on this model alone and just to get a feel for where some of the heavier snowfall is going to occur throughout this storm period. Here's kind of the main band of snow. We're going to show you the freezing rain area, and then we're going to put the winds over the top of this just to give you an idea of where kind of that real nasty stuff is going to occur. And so here's kind of that area where we're going to be expecting the possibility at least of some freezing rain and some sleet, or at least the best possibility in through there. So I'll outline that in this pink. Then we'll step through the winds here on Thursday. This is Thursday right around noon, and we've got 45 mile per hour wind gusts, some almost 50 out of the south down here in southern Minnesota. But obviously that's going to be more into the rain. And then as we get into the overnight hours Thursday night, this is right around midnight. Look at the winds now starting to crank up 50, 55. Who knows, maybe even a 60 mile per hour wind gust might be out there out in northwestern, north central parts of Minnesota. So you can see where, especially these yellow areas are 50 mile per hour or greater. So the winds are going to be cranking in. So these areas in through here are going to be having all sorts of problems from blowing, drifting snow. And then also within the pink, you're going to be worried about the possibility of losing some power just because maybe some branches might come down. You know, you're going to have some trouble that way. And then, boy, it's just the roads are just not going to be good. Once we get into a Friday morning and into Friday afternoon, this is right around noon time frame. You can see the winds begin to slack off in the western parts of the Dakotas. By 6 p.m., a little more so in the central, and then midnight. And then by 6 a.m. on Saturday, begin to diminish it even more. Some 30s and 40s remaining into portions of Minnesota. But again, they just kind of slowly diminish then throughout the day on Saturday. So I would get frustrated with the meteorologist on TV because of course they would talk about how the track could shift and things could change and it's still a long ways out there. And I get that, obviously, being a meteorologist myself, and I'm sure you understand that too, that things could vary. But I kept thinking, You're the meteorologist. Just tell us something. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my opinion, my professional opinion, what I think is going to happen at this point. Even though it's early, I just want to give you guys a little bit of heads up of what I'm thinking at this point. So here's just the very crude, ugly looking map behind me that we're going to look at. So the area in the blue has got the best chance for seeing the heaviest snowfall. Still within that range that I was showing the other day, looking like 8 to 15 inches are possible. Who knows? Some of the models are even showing more than that, if you can believe that. So it's going to be a whopper. Put on top of that all the wind that I showed you earlier, and for sure you're going to be seeing some blizzard conditions expected across the blue as it is set up right now. Now this area in the pink that I've got outlined in through here, that's kind of the best area for seeing that freezing rain and sleet and just that ugliness and the stuff that, man, you just know you don't even want, because now we're talking about the possibility of losing electricity. And within that, I've got some of these boundaries, this yellow boundary that obviously connects up with the 5 to 8 inches. So anywhere in through here, on top of the freezing rain and sleet, may also have the possibility of picking up 5 inches of snow along with it. That would be very nasty on top of it, because now you've got the freezing rain down and then you slap some snow onto it and you're like, good God, I've had enough. All right, so then the guys in the green here kind of connects up to this area down and through here, 2 to 5 inches. So obviously anybody kind of north and west of this area on top of the freezing rain could pick up 2 to 5 inches of snow or more, just depending on where you're at, depending on how things move around. So otherwise, in the remaining areas that are shaded in the yellow here, we're looking at 5 to 8 inches of snow. And then for those of you in the green, we're looking around that 2 to 5 range. And then of course, we've got our possible severe weather down and across the southern portions of Minnesota, far southeastern parts of South Dakota as well, mainly looking at Thursday timeframe for you guys. So yes, I know it's still early. There's going to be meteorologists out there that are still going to say, man, it's too early to tell anything. I understand that. Tracks could shift, things can move. I've told you that, you understand that. But I'd rather just give you what I think at this point, just to kind of give you a heads up. Now, this could move and shift, and all of a sudden, yeah, I'm going to be called a liar, but I guess wouldn't you rather know out ahead of time of what I'm thinking? But I really think the way this thing's shaping up, there's going to be some trouble out there. There's going to be a blizzard. There's going to be the freezing rain. There's going to be some power outages with that. So then you add on the possibility of severe weather across southern Minnesota, and I think you are going to want to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell button as well, because you're going to want to be notified anytime I've uploaded a video just like the one you found here, folks. And so I'm going to keep you updated as the information comes in and adjust the track and adjust to where the heaviest snowfall is going to be. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you do know when the updates are coming in. And not only that, but I'm going to be on live if there is severe weather on Thursday. And I'm also going to be probably running some live feeds going as we're watching the winter weather develop. So you're not going to want to miss that as well. So, all right, everybody, for Region Weather Live, I am meteorologist Brad Warner, and we'll see you tomorrow.